Hello, my name is Richard Mangali, and for my proposal, I'll be discussing the prevention of suicide and coping strategies for people in Powell, Wyoming. On my overview, I'll be discussing the significance, the plan of work, and the strategies and solution. According to CDC, is Wyoming had the highest suicide rate, which means that it used to have the highest suicide rate, but not anymore since this is from 2014 and this is 2017, but it's a little outdated, but uh, Wyoming has shown to progress on its reduction for suicide count, but it's still pretty high. One of the reasons I, One of the main reasons I pick is depression and bullying, because depression, lack of activity, means isolation, which leads to depression. Bullying, because diversity is not a very common thing around here. And those two can also cause other mental health problems like schizophrenia, bipolar, anxiety, and also the lack of support and awareness and preventive services because of the rural environment, which the reason is, and also another, and since the rural environment, it's a low population, and it's a very low population, so that means very few services and very few people aware of it. Significance is why the problem matters. It's because help. It's because it's important for public to be aware of these suicide rates because of the high rate. Like if people are aware, maybe they can decrease it so it can improve so Wyoming won't be as high as it used to be. It's still pretty high still, but maybe there's a possibility we can lower it even more. And also another reason why it matters because since the rural environment, there's an easier access of firearms. According to Professor Frederick Rivera, from Washington, he states that 86% of suicide attempts involves guns, firearms, compared to that 2% of drug abuse, which that's kind of a huge significant difference. And people who live in rural environments are most likely to be autonomous, which means they are more independent on what they decide, which can be cause depression because pretty much it's all by yourself. And discrimination, again, diversity is not a big thing, so they pretty much show prejudice against different ethnicity, religion, especially sexual orientation, and sometimes gender bias. The strategy solutions I've done is maybe if we reduce the occurrence of bullying and help people cope with depression, maybe it will lower those suicide counts. On the solution, on bullying victims are important, but what about the bullies themselves? Because are not they are the problem, the source of the problem, and if we fix that, we can reduce the amount of bullying happening. And on depression, weekly counseling is important because it provides a safe space for people to let out their problems without judgment. And recreational activities too, because it helps boost self-esteem and which means that they develop bonds like friendship or interpersonal bonds, so they won't feel as lonely or alone. Because one of the big things is for having communication is be part of something other than your bigger than yourself, so we won't feel as lonely. The plan of work. I handed out surveys to pretty much random people, college students or town residents, and answer what they think of what's the cause of suicide in Powell, Wyoming. According to the data collected, 75% agreed said it was depression, 12.5% says lack of resources, 12.5 chose other, particularly isolation, which can lead to depression, 6.25 said it was bullying, and surprisingly 0% said it was drug abuse, which kind of correlates to what Professor Riviera says about the huge significant difference of suicides from firearms compared to drug abuse. If you have any more questions, ask me. Okay? I'm pretty sure that's it.